Hi everybody, my name is Laura and welcome to Book Bubbler. This is day 22 of Vlogmas. I'm filming this currently at 20 after 12 on the 22nd. So that's how this week is going. Not bad, just a little more chaotic than I would have liked. Chaos has become my friend. Usually is the week of Christmas anyways, but that's okay. All right, today I have a follow-up video. I know, I hope you're waiting for this information, but I'm actually doing a follow-up in a timely fashion. It's amazing. So this is my results from my try a chapter tag. I had two videos earlier this month. One was graphic novels and one was for cozy mysteries, like sorting through, talking about them, whatever. So I have a few cozy mysteries I was going to try and see what I thought, and then one graphic novel slash comic. So I will start with the comics since it's the outlier here. Ufology. This is by James Tinney IV, Noah J. Yunkel, Matthew Fox, and Adam Metcalf. This is a bind-up of, I don't know how many, I'm going to say 3 or 4, usually it's that many, of ufology. So this is set in a small Wisconsin town. What's it called? Muskogee? You know, it's close enough. It could be a real city around here. These two high schoolers, Becky and Max, I want to say, they're both kind of outliers in their high school. She's very smart and stayed back a year, I think, for some reason. I don't know why yet exactly. But one of her teachers applied for her to go to Stanford and she got in. And so she was ticked off about that. And then there is Max. Oh, her father is also the sheriff. Then there's Max, whose father is a cop as well, I think. I don't know. Something like that. He's a little younger than her, and something happened to his mom 10 years ago. His mom disappeared, and then one of his high school teachers and his father are friends, and they were also at the same thing, and they're all sort of changed by this event that no one talks about, but everyone knows they're talking about, kind of a thing. So Becky goes on a not date with a boy who repeatedly asked her out, and they're walking around and they come across this house in the middle of nowhere, and it's got these green yellow lights coming out of all the windows. It's an abandoned house. They think, well, what's this? At the same time, Max is sitting on his roof looking at the sky, watching for aliens. It's all to do with like watching the sky, and Max has been listening to I guess a local radio station that covers unidentified objects and cryptids and stuff like that. So he is listening to this and he sees lights coming from the direction of this house, and he's like, oh, I better go investigate. So this girl and her not date go into this house, and her not date sees the high school teacher that he is sort of friendly with, his dad's friendly with, and he's talking in a weird language that's not any kind of earth language, and he's possessed, and he gets some kind of light comes to him from this guy, from not this guy, this guy, the teacher. And Max sees the end result of this, but Becky gets touched by this alien thing that's cloaked to look like the high school teacher, and that's where the first part ends. She's passed out outside. Max doesn't know what's going on. So I'm intrigued, but I don't think I'm liking it. So I'm going to give it one more book in here, part 2, and I think I'll probably DNF it at that point and then just get rid of it. I can't imagine this is going to be a favorite. Watch, probably be like in my tops for the year, who knows. But at this point it seems unlikely, so looking like a DNF and a get rid of. Then in no other order here, I have Murder in an Irish Village by Carleen O'Connor, the start of a series set in County Cork. Why is everything set in County Cork? Are there no other counties in Ireland? I know there are, but it seems like so many cozies are set in Cork or next to Cork, and they refer to going into County Cork all the time. It's never necessarily a city, it's always County Cork. Why? Anyways. So this is about Siobhan O'Sullivan. She's got siblings, I don't know, 5 siblings, apparently. We have not talked to any of them yet. She just refers to them obscurely. And there's some kind of murder apparently in her little town. So Siobhan is 20, I'm going to guess, by the talk of things in the book. So she talks about riding her bike into town and how she really wants this pink Italian scooter that's in the bicycle shop in town. But it's so impractical, and who wears a pink scooter anyways? And redheads aren't supposed to wear pink even though her hair isn't really red. But she really wants it anyways. But then her siblings would get it all like gross and mucky and they'd want to use it. And so we're in her brain going through the town. She's almost late for her shift at the bistro in town for her lunch shift. But she stops into the bicycle shop anyways just to look at the scooter. And she goes in there and there's Neil. Is that his name? I'm going to say Neil. It's one of those names that gets used a lot for like Niall. Excuse me, I was close. Niall. It's close to Neil. And for some reason, Neil always, like, that name gets cast for like the oddball that's kind of potentially dangerous. And all the TV shows, movies, and things I've seen, like, it's never the hunk named Neil necessarily. Prove me wrong, I know. No offense to all the Neils and Niles out there. Honestly, that's just what I've seen. Okay, Laura, get it together. So she runs into Niall in this shop and she thinks, oh no, what's he doing here? He sounds kind of like Snape at first, like long dark hair cut to the chin, kind of greasy eyes. You're never sure where the pupil ends and not. Like, he always just has dark eyes. And she thinks that he is in Dublin and doesn't know why he's there. And apparently his brother got drunk took his sports car out and around Devil's Curve, because of course there was a huge accident and he smashed into Siobhan's parents, killing them instantly when they were coming home from something wholesome, I think. I don't know. A night out in the town, whatever. So her parents were killed by Niall's brother, and she thinks that he left town, but he's there. And he comes up to her and kind of confronts her, gets her kind of trapped by the scooters and says, I have proof that my brother didn't kill your parents. It's worth $10,000. I know you have $10,000 because you were saving for school, for university, and you stayed for 2 years with your 2 best friends, and then after your parents died, she didn't go. She stayed home to take care of her siblings, and her friends went to university. So he knows she's got a bunch of money sitting around, and so he's trying to essentially blackmail her for 10 grand to see the results of why his brother is really innocent and why he's in jail and he shouldn't be. And so then she, like, at the end of the chapter, she gets spooked and she runs out. That's the first chapter. I'm not sure who dies. Maybe it's Niall. I don't know. And I wanted to not like this, but I kind of did like it. I want to know what happens. I want to see what happens next to Siobhan. I want to see what proof Niall has that he's so, like, sure of would free his brother Bobby. I want to see what her siblings are like. She better get that damn pink scooter. So yeah, I'm hanging on to this one. Next up, Grace Under Pressure, the first in the Manor House Mystery series by Julie Hizzy. Hizzy? I always look it up and I forget immediately. It won't stay in my brain. We meet someone. Laura, you do such great videos. Grace. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of coming back to me. We meet Grace. She is a younger, I'm assuming 20s or something. I don't know. She's working as an assistant curator at this manor house in town. She's always wanted to work there. She's loved it her whole life. And it's owned by the Marshfield family, Marshfield Manor. Laura, wow. I need caffeine. And probably food. So they're hosting like a high tea service in the manor for ladies in town. It's on the cover here. And there's a big disturbance. So we enter, like, we just get dropped into this bird cage, they call it, the sort of greenhouse solarium. And there's this big, she keeps talking about how fat he is, like 200 or 300 pound tall guy who's acting crazy, like he's off his meds or he needs meds or something. And all these ladies are clutching their pearls literally and metaphorically and trying to get out of this guy's way. He's like trying to throw a chair and do all this crazy stuff. The security guards come in, but they're older guys in their 60s. So she's just trying to be calm and rational and talk this guy down. She finally gets his name out. It's Percy. And she's trying to get him just to leave the area and come out to the lobby, or just get out of that area where it's lots of breakables and lots of delicate ladies, you know, whatever. So she's handling the situation well. She gets the guy to come out finally, and they subdue him. I think they just handcuff him. The head of security, who is apparently ripped, married, has got kids, but everyone is like lusting over this guy. So he comes out and handcuffs him, and they're don't know what to do with him next, but she offers to everyone that was in the room to get a free like tea and snacks and sandwiches, whatever. So after she handles the situation and gets it all calmed down, the son of the owner, millionaire family, Marshfield owners, comes to talk to her and says, you know, we're going to have to replace Abe pretty soon. He's retirement age. So we're hoping that you handle this really well. I didn't interfere because I want to see how you handle this. You know, we're supposed to go upstairs and meet with the lawyers now for the Marshfield family to sign something. I'm not exactly sure. So she sort of passed this test that she didn't know she was going to have that day. And all of a sudden they get notified to go to the private channel on their walkie-talkies, and there were shots fired on the fourth floor of the manor, right when the man she's talking to is supposed to be meeting with the lawyers upstairs. So they are going to rush off to deal with the shots fired situation. It's Julie Hizzy. I really loved her White House Chef series, and this is going to pull me in just as much. I really wanted to see what happened, because it just drops you into the action and then like leaves you with shots fired. I mean, I don't know everyone's names yet, obviously, it's just been one chapter, but I did really like it, so I'm going to be hanging on to that one as well. Oh boy. Next up, The Darling Dahlias and the Cucumber Tree by Susan Wittig Albert. Albert has several cozy mystery series, of which I've started and enjoyed, but this one I have not started yet, obviously, until today. Why am I explaining this, Laura? Get to the point. Set in 1930 or the 30s in Alabama, in Darling, Alabama, May 1930, excuse me. And there is a club in town, a garden club in town called the Darling Dahlias. So we're meeting the Dahlias. They're between 30 and 85 years of age. It's a bunch of ladies, and it's being held in one of the fellow Dahlias' houses, this house on the cover here, who recently passed away. She left it to the Rotary Club. So they are going to be making plans to update a few things and turn it into more of a, I'm going to say, the community center meeting space kind of a thing, and less like a home on that first floor initially, at least. And this place is known for being not just a beautiful house and for having a beautiful garden in front and back, but for having these two twin 80-year-old magnolia trees called cucumber trees. What's that word? Provincially? It's not the Latin name, but they're magnolia trees. So there's one in the front. There's this one in the front, and there's another one in the back that's in the backyard that's the same way. So it's just, you get to meet these ladies and some of their neighbors, and talking about doing a newspaper column, and someone painted a new sign for their club that they're going to put out in front. They took a picture for that for the paper, and they're just chatting about raising the fees or lowering the fees for the year from 25 cents to 15 cents for their dues. Nothing has really happened yet, but it's very charming, and I did like the setting quite a bit. I liked the character names, like Verna Lee is one of them. I mean, it's the South. So I'm not sure who's going to end up dead. I don't know who's going to end up solving this, but I did enjoy it. I would like to keep reading it. However, I'm going to let this go. I know, shock horror. Talk about clutching her pearls. I don't want to get a whole big long series, and I know for sure that my library has this complete series and that there are several copies of the series in the library system, should I want to read them that way. And they're in the hardcover version, not the mass market. This mass market is fine. The print is just fine. It's not too small. The spine is already broken. I bought it used. But it's easy to read. It's no problem. I just don't want to hang on to it. for some reason. So I'm going to let it go, and I will follow up at some point, TBD. Okay, and the last is a series of 4 books. This is all it is, just this quartet of books by Mary Freeman. The first one is called The Devil's Trumpet. I should look it up and see. Okay, this says they were published in 1999. For me, they read as published in the 80s for some reason, and I don't know why that is. I just got a strange feeling. So the first chapter is a whole 8 pages. So to be fair, there is not a lot here to base my initial impressions on. Not that any first chapter is 1,000 pages, but you get what I'm feeling here. So we meet the main character, whose name is Rachel. She's been in business with her own landscaping business for a year and a half now. And she's working on a property with 2 Hispanic assistants who are brothers, I think. Otherwise, one of them just keeps talking about his brother, and it's not the other guy that's working with her. It seems to be just the 3 of them anyways. So we meet her, and she is talking to the owner of this fancy house in town, and he sounds like he's crazy. They keep talking about how he's crazy, and like, this guy is loco, is he crazy or what? So Henry is the client. He's the owner of this fabulous old house that used to be famous with famous people. Everyone would come and drive their boats up to their private dock in the Columbia River. Is this Ohio? I don't know where it is. Doesn't matter. And it was a nice place to get away, like a little resort. You stay overnight, this big mansion place. She's always loved this place, and she's essentially working for free because this Henry guy has not paid her. So she's paying her assistants, but she's not getting paid herself. And she's realizing that at the end of the week, she has to quit the job, no matter how much she wants to keep working there, because she can't work for nothing. And she can't keep paying her 2 helpers and not getting anything back. She's running out of money. So she talks to one of the guys who's working in a separate area, and he said, we really have to stop doing this. Why are we still working here? And she says, I know you're right, it's bad, but I don't know, we'll see. So then she walks around to the front of the property and talks to the other guy, and he seems to be more haunted by something that happened in his past. They refer to something in his past that was terrible with his brother, and that's why he has a scar in his hand. It was from a machete. And then Henry comes out, the older man comes out, and a totally different personality, a very changed personality, and says, oh, this is for you. And he gives her a check for $5,000. Says, I know I probably owe you more. I can't be bothered to look for your receipts at this point, your invoices, but here, take this in good faith. And she thinks, okay, thank you. And then the brother she's talking to says, see, but isn't he different? Like, there's something wrong with him. And then the guy goes inside, and he keeps changing what he wants. Like, as you see, 3 or 4 different times, it says, don't cut down those lilacs. That's where you open. He's screaming at her not to cut down the lilacs. And she says, we talked about this. They're rotting. The trunk is rotting. If we can maybe save them if we can cut it back now. And over the winter, they'll, it'll be okay next year. It'll look just fine next year. And then he kind of goes, well, fine, and wanders off. And then when he comes back out again and he pays her, he comes back in the house after this nice conversation. He seems nice. And then he turns around and he says how she has to fix the stairs in the front that he just walked up because they're all warped. And she looks and they're completely straight. She says, I don't know what's going on. And then he goes out to the gazebo in the back of the property to play a record. I guess he's played a lot, some jazz record. And she thinks, oh no, that gazebo is in bad shape. I better do something about this. We should probably try and fix it, or it's going to fall into the river. And that's where it ends. So I'm sure that it will fall into the river. And I'm sure this guy will have been poisoned by something in the garden. I don't think I'm going to keep this series. It's not bad by any means. And if I had never read cozies before, or I didn't have a whole bin of them and a mom who keeps reading them, I would probably read these and really enjoy them. But because I do have other ones to read, and this didn't really pull me in, I mean, I'm interested, but not that interested. I don't know. I'm going to let them go. Looking at the rest of these books here, Deadly Nightshade, Garden View, Bleeding Heart, I do want to read them. I'm like, oh no, this first one can't be that bad. Like, of course it's not that bad. There were 4 published. It wouldn't be terrible, but I'm just not digging it. Laura, let it go. So I am going to let this go, this whole series go, these 4 books. Take my bookmark out of it right away. And probably will end up letting this go as well. And I'm going to be keeping Grace Under Pressure by Julie Hizzy and Murder in Irish Village by Carleen O'Connor. So that went actually much better than I thought it was going to. I really expected I was just going to save all of them because I couldn't let anything go. But yeah, that's not too bad. So I hope you enjoyed this. I should do more of these more often, maybe once a month, like beginning of the month. I should pull so many books and try them and wrap it up at the end. That might be something I can keep up with. Something to think about for next year. Okay. All right, that's all I've got today. I better get this wrapped up and downloaded. Oh my gosh, 20 minutes. I am sorry. And get this posted because it's for today. And I will talk to you guys very soon in the next one. I hope you're all doing well and reading something great. Bye.